of the sun. To dream, believe in strength. Now I'm the only one, only one. I was an ordinary boy until I broke the rules. My life destroyed, life destroyed. Until I walk awake, scream my mind, I shout, the ground shakes. How much can I take? My mind will break. Will it break? Can I take? Can I be your superhero?
Good morning, everybody. I apologize for yesterday because, this storm has turned my life upside down. My husband finally got off to work, and it has been a mess. Today, we are talking about Laura Bible and Ashley Freeman. As all of you know, look at the screen. Someone cannot go missing without someone knowing something somewhere. I can't stress it any more than this case. And I implore every YouTube creator out there, whoever you listen to, please talk about this case. Please, please, please. Because you have a mama that's been waiting. You have a state of Oklahoma that still doesn't understand what the hell happened and what could have gone wrong. And it has gone on, well, I heard about it in 1999, like right before Christmas. And I couldn't believe it. Now, hold on. How dare you, Duck Lady? We're getting another winter storm this weekend. Woo! Brooks better not. Lisa Durr, I'm in Kentucky, and the snowplows block my driveway, and I'm stuck in the house. They're going to have to move. Yeah, they said on Channel 6. They were like, please don't bother the snowplows. We've had many accidents involving snowplows. And I'm like, how could you hit a snowplow? How could you miss a snowplow? How could you? Let's go ahead and tell everybody good morning. We're going to bring up my favorite guest of all time. You know her, you love her, and she will be here in a second. Everyone, don't be saying the S word around me. I don't ever want to hear the S word again until maybe sometime in 2027. Without further ado, let's please bring up our special guest. Everyone loves her, Miss Lorene Bible. Good morning, Miss Lorene. Now, let me ask you first off, how much winter weather did you get up in your neck of the woods?
Well, we got 7 inches of snow here in here around Veneto, the Welch area.
Okay.
Down south by McAllister, they got sleet underneath theirs, and then they got about 5 inches of snow there. But we got 7 here.
Our friend Melanie's in here. She's from Southeast Oklahoma, and they got that freezing fog.
Yeah.
But they're right there on the Red River. So I'm going to go ahead and recap everybody. And if anytime I say something wrong or you don't want to relive any of these memories, you just let me know. Because before I start crying, Lorene is an inspiration to every family that's ever fought for justice. They could write books about her. To the point, she has confronted DAs. She has done their own investigations for them. She knew something was totally, totally wrong. You know, on KOTV, when I heard about Laura and Ashley, it said, now mind you, this was in 1999, house fire. And we're like, oh, horrible, horrible. And then KJRH said arson. First, let's look at this, and then we're going to talk to our friend Lorene. And remember, she is such an inspiration. You have no idea how amazing this woman is.
1999, Laura Bible went over to her friend Ashley Freeman's house for a birthday party and for a sleepover. It was the last time Lorene Bible saw her daughter alive.
Tonight, 2 News anchor Sharon Phillips sits down with Lorene to discuss the 26-year search for her daughter, a new bill the governor just...
I forgot to mention also, she's gotten laws passed, bills put through, and all kinds of stuff. Didn't you sponsor a bill?
Well, the bill is the Laura Bible Ashley Freeman. It's so if you are convicted of accessory to murder, where you can get off light sentence for it. Now, whatever sentence that you get once you're convicted, you have to serve 85% of it.
Absolutely amazing that you got that done. Because
that was a 2-year. The first year we went through the House, Steve Bayshore, our representative out of Miami, he helped us with that, got people behind it. It went through the House, but when it went to the Senate, it went through their first one, their committee, and passed. But when it was ready to be heard on the floor, the senator that was over it, he could choose what was going to get heard and what wasn't. And he decided it was against what his democratic belief was. So he killed it. So we had to wait again for the fall to bring it back. And it went through the House and the Senate. But of course, then we knew what we needed to do. We had to go talk to every senator, we had to basically live in Oklahoma City for about 4 months.
Well, and he paid his price at the polls.
Yes.
Not because the minute he said this is unfair to criminals, that's when everyone sat back going, unfair to criminals. Those were his words.
Mm-hmm.
And this is not justice. And I'm like, whoa, okay. We're going to talk about justice and what should have been done in 1999.
Sign named after the girls and the innovative way she's keeping her daughter's memory alive.
It's been a 26-year ache that stirs deep inside the soul of Lorene Bible. Her steadfast mission to find her only daughter Laura and her friend Ashley Freeman. For those of you who don't know their story, Lorene Bible recounts the final moments they had together.
In December of 1999, Laura went over to Ashley's house for her 16th birthday on the 29th of December. And it was birthday party, stay the night, come home the next day, but she never come home the next day. During the night, somebody walked into the Freeman's house, killed Danny and Kathy, and abducted both girls and burnt the house to the ground.
Bible and her family have spent years searching for.
All right. Killed Denny and Kathy and abducted both girls. And to this day, you're still looking for the girls.
Yes.
And by the way, these searches have not been light. They have been Southeast Kansas, Southeast Oklahoma, Pitcher, Quapaw. I know I'm missing something.
Well, we've if there's a tip and somebody says we need to go look, we go look. I mean, that's the only way you can say, is this true, or if it's not, you put it all on a piece of paper and you start looking and you start, seeing if they're true or not. You can always say, okay, they're not there. Where do we go next? And that's what we've done for the last 26 years.
Who is, if you can't say, sorry, I'm giving my cat a snack. He's not being very nice. If you can say, if you can't, I understand. Who is your main suspect in this case? Because let's face it, you know your daughter's case like the back of your hand.
Well, when you take a look at it, when it first happened, we always heard there was what they called the Chetopa Five. They
Yes.
were involved. And then we went from there. Then we went over to the Wyandotte, Fairland area. We went to another group called the Glovers, and the a couple other groups that was over in that direction. But when we ended up finally going back over to the Chetopa, we found out that two of the men, by this time 2016, two of the men were dead. Philip Welch and the other gentleman were passed away. They'd been dead for about 7 years. Then their running buddy was Ronnie Busick. And then it was, okay, where's he at? What do we got to do to find him? Doing the investigations, what we did on our own with my family and our friends, you get pretty good at learning where people are and how to find them. All you got to do is know people that know people that know people. And
you did.
Pardon?
No, go ahead. Sorry.
Looking at Ronnie Busick, he had a Facebook page. And at the time, his sister was alive, and she lived down at Jerome, Oklahoma. And they thought that he may have went there. But on his Facebook pages, there was pictures that are of things that are in Wichita, Kansas.
Mm.
I have a nephew that lived in Wichita for many years before he moved to Missouri. And he told me, he said, no, that's Kansas, that's Wichita. So eventually the detectives called and around Wichita and asked, if they had anything, because if you're always in trouble, you're going to be in trouble no matter where you move to.
Mhm.
And they did find out that Ronnie Busick did have an outstanding warrant in Wichita, Kansas. So they talked to the detectives there and got him to go serve a warrant because he was failure to appear for a warrant, and was able to find him standing in somebody's backyard where he lived, grilling hamburgers. So they put him in jail, which give the detective and the OSBI agent time to go to Kansas, talk to him, and then extradite him back here before he was released there.
And we will talk about that shortly, because I don't know of anybody in this state that wasn't inflamed by him being released. Obviously, not more than you, but.
Laura and Ashley. This man, Ronnie Busick, was convicted in their disappearance. Investigators believe Philip Welch and David Pennington killed Freeman's parents that night before burning the home to the ground and taking off with Laura and Ashley. Court records show Busick admitted to being the getaway driver, but claims to this day he doesn't know where the girls are. Welchum Pennington died, leaving the hopes of this mother resting on Ronnie Busick. In 2023, he was released from prison after serving just 18 months of a 10-year sentence.
We knew he wasn't going to serve all 10 years, but we had no clue that in 18 months he'd be 17 miles up the road from us walking around.
To keep this from
Wasn't he in an RV for a while in an RV park?
Well, when he got out of the pen, they made it sound like that they took him and put him on a bus. They don't. When there is nobody to take people getting out of prison, they have people that have like campers or small homes that they can go give them their money and they put them in those things. And that's where they took him. They took him to this place on the west side of Oklahoma City. And that he had this little 1950 camper shell that he stayed in. That didn't go too well because when you stay in these places, you have rules you have to follow. Ronnie Busick didn't like to follow the rules.
Mm-hmm.
So they said, you're out of here. He paid somebody to take him from Oklahoma City and take him and drop him off in Chautauqua, Kansas, supposedly at a house that he was going to rent. When the person that drove him for money dropped him off at the house, it was a house that had been burned down.
Oh.
So it really wasn't a house, but they took his money because he was, somebody. So he just happened to be on the streets walking around and he fell because he had a walker. And the Chautauqua police had to take him over to Parsons to the hospital. And then after they saw that he was okay, then they took him and had him stay overnight in a motel. And the next morning, the motel guy says, either you pay to today or you got to get out. So for a while, he stayed in the Chautauqua Parsons area for a while, but he's in Tulsa, Oklahoma at the moment.
Ronnie is?
Yes. He's had hip surgery.
On the government dime. A lot of these,
government dime.
not just in Oklahoma, but other states, when they get released, they immediately get disability.
Well, that's one of the reasons why, because he has a lot of health issues. And they didn't want him to have a lot of issues and have to, if he had to go in ICU on life support, they didn't want the state to have to pay for all that. That's one of the reasons he got off for good behavior and got time off the back end of his sentence so he could get released.
Good God. If anyone's not familiar with the case, please check out my playlist. Susan can put it in, or Chrissy, True Crime Beat.
happening to another family. The Bible family has worked tirelessly to get Laura and Ashley's law passed. The bill requires anyone convicted of accessory to first or second degree murder to serve at least 85% of their sentence. The governor signed the bill into law Tuesday. And although it doesn't bring the girls home, it does give Bible some peace of mind.
This could be your child. This could be one of your loved ones. And it's like, we don't want this to happen to another family.
To keep Laura and Ashley's memories alive, Bible just opened up this resale store in Veneta. It's called Pooh's New Barely Used.
Her mom tells me when Laura was brought home from the hospital, her family was given this Winnie the Pooh bear, and that's how she got her nickname, Pooh.
Once we pay the bills, the rent and stuff, the money goes into the scholarship fund that we established 3 years ago in honor of Laura and Ashley. We give 2 $500 scholarships to Blue Jacket and Welch for seniors.
In April, Bible says investigators with the Quapaw Nation.
That is amazing. With everything you've been through, you give back. Like, you have your own foundation. And I have not been to your shop yet, and I need to get up there because I know exactly where I want to eat in Veneta. And so you offer scholarships to children. How did you come up with that idea?
Well, we wanted something to honor the girls. I mean, without the bodies, we say it's in memory of, memorializing them. But what would they have wanted? So that both girls, Laura was going to go to our Afton Votech. She wanted to become a cosmetologist. She liked to do hair, nails, makeup, the whole 10 yards of that. Ashley hadn't really decided what she wanted, but we want it there. So if there's another person, whether they go to a technical school or go to a college, that somebody could go for the girls, that there would be somebody going to do what the girls could not do.
Absolutely. Shonda said, Brooks, you need the Facebook pages and share them on your page, please, because I want to support and share. I will find the Facebook page. I'm sure Miss Lorene will send it to me, and I will post it on YouTube, on X, and on my Facebook business page and my personal page, because I agree with Shonda. We need to make this a huge foundation. Huge foundation.
Searched another mine shaft in Pitcher.
Do you believe that the girls are in Pitcher somewhere?
Yes, they're in Pitcher somewhere. There's 150 mine shafts in Pitcher.
And how many have you all searched?
We've searched 5.
With the time that she has left on this earth, Lorraine Bible is using every moment of every day to work to bring the girls home.
People say, how do you do this every day? I said, well, you got to have faith. God didn't say this was going to be easy. You just believe in me, and, when it's the right time to know, it'll be easy.
If you have any information about the disappearance of Laura Bible and Ashley Freeman, you are asked to contact the OSBI.
Do you still believe they're in Pitcher, Oklahoma?
Yeah, they're there somewhere. Like I said, there's a lot of dark holes, and once you make it your business to find out about stuff, you find out that there were a lot of bad people in that area back in the day.
Well, and we've also always heard about Quapaw and how people would run back and forth there, and then into southeast Kansas.
Well, right there on the line where Pitcher is, you go from where Pitcher School is. Pitcher School is on the school itself is on the Oklahoma side. Across the road is Treese, Kansas. So you're that close to the lines, From Pitcher to Quapaw up one road is 5 miles, So it's not like, you have to drive a lot of ways to get from one place to another. It's not. It is just not.
No, very close, very close. That's why it irritates me when people do shows about Ashley and Laura, and I'm saying that alphabetically, and they say that Welch, Oklahoma is outside of Tulsa. And I'm like, well, no, Owasso is outside of Tulsa.
Mm-hmm.
This is outside of Tulsa. I mean, where would you say Welch is outside of?
Well, it's, it's 45 minutes from Tulsa and 45 minutes from Joplin. I mean, it's in the northeast corner, and it's got Highway 2 that runs up and down from Oklahoma through Kansas. You got Highway 10 that goes east and west, so you can be anywhere. And then close to it is I-44. Once you get on there, you can be anywhere.
You can be anywhere. I mean, shoot, you get on 44, I could be in St. Louis in 6 hours.
Yep.
Okay, so this is when Ronnie Busick was arrested. And basically, there was a collateral gasp, thinking there was a huge break in the case and that someone's going to death row and everything would be solved. It didn't quite turn out that way. Now, let me ask you, Miss Lorene, when you were talking to Channel 2 News and you said, and I know your faith is very important to you. When you said God never said this was going to be easy, but it will make sense someday. I'm paraphrasing. Do you still believe this, or do you get angry?
I still believe that. Anytime, you're handed tragic stuff or just, losing somebody, you gotta know in order to keep your sanity that there's a reason for this. Uh, and that, for this case, because, I've seen other cases, people's been gone 8, 9, 10 years and they're found or they find their bodies. I mean, just recently over there at Pitcher, not far from where we've searched for the girls, they did find a girl that had been missing from the Grove area for a while. Um, it's just you got to leave it in the good Lord's hand and hope that, this is the day that He's going to lead us, put the people that we need to talk to in our path, and we're able to bring the girls home.
Exactly. And I know that you will find them someday. Do you have plans on what to do when you find Laura and Ashley?
Well, it depends if somebody calls me up and they tell me, hey, I need to talk to you. This is what I know. Depends on what they tell me because people do call us. They stay anonymous. We meet them. We don't tell people who we talk to and we go investigate. If it's something that I think is worth telling, I'm smart enough and been in this long enough to know if I was to know where the girls were, I would go find me a lawyer, a doctor, and a police officer before I did anything.
Mm-hmm.
So that number one, when we find the girls, there's a doctor available, a lawyer, so we know we keep it, and a police officer. So hey, I'm not stupid. I'm not going to touch stuff I'm not supposed to touch.
That's
But
very smart. Very smart. Who over the years has done all the age progressions?
The Missing Children Network out of Washington State has done those.
Wonderful. Okay. Because that popped up on my news. I can't remember how long ago. And I was just like, it really took me aback. We have some questions from the chat. Granny06 wants to know, did the family, I don't think meaning you, know the suspects?
The Bible family, no. The Freeman family, I think the only one knows who those people were was Danny. I don't think Kathy knew a lot, or the girls. I just think it was something that he was involved in.
And that seems to be the common theme.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, every press conference I've watched, for some reason, it always goes back to Ashley's dad.
Yep.
Major new development in a cold case involving two girls who have been missing almost 20 years. I'm Naomi Kitt. Tiffany is on assignment. We'll get to her in just a moment. Laura Bible and Ashley Freeman were taken from the Freeman family home in December of 1999. Ashley's parents, Danny and Kathy Freeman.
Okay, we have another question from Melanie. Did they have any jewelry on that you know of? I've never heard that being asked before. I'm sure you've been asked.
If they did, Laura would have had earrings. She had her earrings, but she didn't wear rings and necklaces and stuff like that. I know after the fact, when the first day they found Kathy's body, released the scene. The next day, my husband and I go in and we find Danny's body that they'd walked on the day before and didn't find him. When they took his body out that day, we tore the house down to the ground. And I did find Laura's purse. Her ID was in her purse. The money that she'd taken from the house the day before to go buy Ashley was in the purse. Her clothes that she'd taken was in Ashley's bedroom. We know that much, that, her car was still parked in front of the Freeman's home with her keys in the ignition.
I've always been shocked that they didn't take the car.
Well, I think, they may not have known it was Laura's, that it was a Freeman vehicle. But, at the time those people were there, Busick was in the driver's seat of the car. Let's put him in this car or another car and let's get him out of here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And were found shot and killed inside that home. Fox 23's Tiffany Alaniz has.
I'm going to come back to this because in 1999, we were told in Rogers County, Oklahoma, that there was a house fire. Then they tried to tell us it was arson. And listen, I'm not going to say that anybody was making anything up. I just think they were very ignorant to the complexity of such a horrid case. Now, over the years, we've heard everything from cartel to drugs to guns. I mean, you name it. Denny got into something he shouldn't have been in. But you came to the house and you found Denny and Kathy.
Okay, now Kathy was found the day the house caught fire. She was found the morning of the fire.
Okay.
Because they sent a deputy to where I worked at the McDonald's on the corner of Bonita and wanted to know if I knew Ashley Freeman. And I told him yes, that she was my daughter's best friend, that Laura had stayed the night. My son had called me about 30 minutes before that, said the Freeman's house was on fire. I could tell by looking at his face it wasn't on fire, it was already done. I was asking him, I said, well, did the girls okay? Or Denny and Kathy okay? Because, house fires, people do get out, And I could tell by looking at the officer's face that it was bad. And he told me that they'd found a body. He asked if I knew the layout of the Freeman's home, which I told him where everything was in the house from the last time that I was there. And he said, okay, well, we'll let you know. And he left because he tells me to this day, even 26 years later, I had no clue what to tell you. You didn't scream. You didn't yell. You wasn't crying. You were asking questions. You answered everything I had. Then me and my husband went. I called him. He come to Bonita. We went to the Freeman property, and there sat the local sheriff department with the volunteer Welch Fire Department sitting around waiting on the OSBI to show up. Because when they found Kathy's body, they immediately stopped, turned it over because for a year, the Freemans and the county had been fighting because of their son's death on the January 9th of that year, earlier that year.
There was a lot going on in that county at one time.
Yes.
Been covering this story for the past 20 years. She's live in Bonita with the huge new developments in this case.
Naomi, here's what we confirm. One person is in custody right now for these crimes, and he is expected to be named in part of a 29-page affidavit that will be released by the district attorney this afternoon. We've also confirmed that 2 other people were allegedly involved, and those people are now deceased. This morning, the Freeman and Bible families have been in a meeting for the past 2 hours with the OSBI, the Craig County Sheriff's Office, and the Craig County District Attorney. Some family.
What was that meeting like? Whatever you can repeat or remember.
Oh, they just wanted us to know that they had been, they went to Wichita, they talked to Ronnie Busick, they had to do all the paperwork when you're bringing people from one state to another to come back through. This is what he's kind of said, but he's not said. This is where we're going from here, basically. Okay. A whole lot of not enough.
Whole lot of not enough, exactly. just like the senator that wouldn't pass the bill, which is common sense thinking. But hey, we're kind of used to that in politics. Kat OG said, is the Cold Case Foundation involved in the case? No.
No.
And I have reached out to Chris McDonough, and I know a few other people have. They will not touch it with a 10-foot pole. And we can talk about that in Discord. There's many complexities to this case. It involves a lot of different agencies. And it's something, especially since, I'll just leave it at that for right now.
Members have left that meeting. Others remain inside now, going on more than 2 hours. We know investigators are still looking for people to come forward so that they can find the girls' bodies. The families were told that the girls were alive for a period of time after they were taken from the Freeman home in Welch, but investigators do not know exactly how long they were alive. Investigators say 3 people went to the Freeman home the night of December 29th, 1999, and committed the crime. Laura Bible had gone over to spend the night with Ashley, as we've reported, for her 16th birthday. I talked with Laura's mom today and Ashley's grandpa and grandma. They all say they are relieved and glad for new developments, but they all stress that they still need people to come forward with any tips that could lead to the girls' bodies. Of course, as I have reported for decades now, Lorraine Bible is truly a one-woman investigative team who will stop at nothing to find her daughter, and she is urging people to please come forward if you know anything that will lead to the girls' bodies. Now, at 2 o'clock this afternoon, the district attorney is expected to hold a press conference where they will unveil more of what is contained in that 29-page affidavit. We will be streaming it for you live right here on fox23.com. I will also be attempting to do some live tweeting from that as they release new details. We know some details of names, of course, that we have heard for decades involved in this case, and we will be letting you know as soon as we know those names and can safely report them. Reporting live at the courthouse covering News That Matters, I'm Tiffany Allen-East, Fox 23 News.
Hopefully this was posted in our Okmulgee group and in our Oklahoma Crimes group, because it's way too important. Now, when I go to CrimeCon, I hand out flyer, okay? And with your permission, this year when I go, I want to rattle some cages about Ashley and Laura.
Okay.
Okay, you should go with me. All right, only living man, as they say, but I don't believe it. I believe there's other people that know.
No, like I said, that's their thing. There was only 3 people. There wasn't just those 3. There's other people still involved. There is someone still sitting there pulling the strings that keeps people still, after 26 years, that are still afraid to talk.
Absolutely. We know dead people don't talk. Unless, they're spilling secrets in hell. And the people that have died, I guarantee I know where they're at. Okay? I don't want to be there with them. I don't want to see them. Other people are involved. And I think it honestly goes all the way down to Southeast Oklahoma. And there's another, just from, different things I've looked at, one of the same groups that's in Southeast Oklahoma, the 5, they have something similar in Wichita Falls, Texas, where they do this vigilante justice over whatever, I don't know. Somebody else knows. Or somebody's.
Living man convicted in connection to the murder of 2 teen girls in Welch was released from prison. Laura Bible and Ashley Freeman disappeared in December of 1999, and their bodies have never been found. 2 News Oklahoma senior reporter Justin Ayer went to Lexington Prison and spoke with Laura's mother, Lorraine, about plans moving forward now that Ronnie Busick's been released.
Prison officials say Busick was released early Friday morning before reports of protests or...
I was blown away when this happened. Miss Lorraine, when did you get the call they were releasing him?
Well, I had somebody tell me early, 2 weeks before he got out, hey, I think Ronnie's going to get out. So, you know me, I've got people that know people that know people. And they said, well, that's the talk that he's going to get released. But if it happens, we'll let you know. Well, then we got the call that in April that said, probably around the 15th of April, that said he was getting out on the 17th of May. So that's when we started our little thing. How can we stop this? And that's when we contacted the governor, the lieutenant governor, you name it. We got with Steve Bayshore and got emails addressed for 2 weeks. My niece Lisa and I, that's all we did is we spent 24 hours a day sending emails, calling people, what can we do? How can we stop this? And then the Lieutenant Mr. Drummond, he told me, he said, we can't stop this. He's getting out. So at that point, you know, the day he got released, we went, we were told that we couldn't come up into the grounds of the prison. So we parked across the street from the prison. But he didn't leave that prison early that morning. He come out about 9:45 in a black van.
Okay.
And then I found out later they didn't take him to no bus stop. They took him to the west side of Oklahoma City to the organization that says it's something hands that take, you know, felons that are coming out of the system with no place to go.
Isn't that sweet? Wicked Inc., thank you for becoming a new YouTube member. And before we get to the rest of our show, we have to give a very special happy birthday to Walking Dead Zombies and her daughter. They were both born on the same day, obviously different years. And I have just really enjoyed seeing all your pictures and your celebrations of your birthday. I missed you on Monday. I missed you on Tuesday, and I didn't have a show yesterday. Just Me said, I will never understand why they go easy on these monsters. Easy. Because society allows it. Society wants it. Now, it's a very small amount of society, but they're the loudest. Remember, the cheap seats scream the loudest. It's not Walking Dead. It's not Sect to No One. It's not V. It's not Duck Lady. It's not Big T. It's not Mal. It's not Cat. It's not Sailor. It's a very small amount that gets a lot of attention. You know, like a stomping toddler that wants their way all the time. I'm not gonna eat that. I want chicken nuggets. That's what we deal with on a day-to-day. They think they know more than our founding fathers and what they wrote down on pen and paper. They really do. They really do. And it's ridiculous.
Media attention ever came on site. For the searchers and victims' families who've been out trying to find these girls for 24 years and counting, it's an emotional day.
Nearly 24 years later, Lorraine Bible will never stop searching.
He has more rights than the victim does. We're going to protect him from you.
Truer words have never been spoken. He has more rights than his victims do. And I don't care. As he said, he just drove the car. An accomplice. Hence why I don't get into the whole Richard Glossip thing, because he should, maybe not the death penalty, he needs to serve his time. Why didn't they put the same prosecution on Ronnie as they did Richard Glossip?
We're going to protect him from you. Well, I'm not out to kill him. I want answers.
It's why she stood outside in the tall grass outside Lexington Prison, even though prison guards told us Ronnie Busick was released earlier that morning.
You're a lot of way away from what the activities that happen where you can ask questions. The people you want to ask questions right now, all they tell you is to get across the highway.
Still searching for answers after her daughter, Laura, and friend Ashley disappeared from a house party at Ashley's house in December 1999. The next day, the house was engulfed.
It was a birthday party, not a house party. Words like that get people confused.
At Ashley's house in December 1999. The next day, the house was engulfed in flames, and Ashley's parents were found shot to death. Busick was arrested in 2018 and pleaded guilty to being an accessory in July 2020 to torching the Freeman home, killing Ashley Freeman's parents, and abducting the girls. After serving less than 3 years of a 10-year sentence, Busick was released Friday due to good behavior.
For every month you serve, you get 2 months cut off the back end. Well, nobody cut anything off the end of my life but her life.
Lorraine says she's going to continue working toward change with Oklahoma's criminal justice system. She says she's been in touch with state lawmakers.
With Ronnie Busick being released, then we have the Henrietta murders. Another fail.
And you're right. I'm still very good friends with Justin Webster. He's trying to get Knight's Law passed. He can't get it done. And it's about keeping predators in jail regardless. Now, a new bill has come through saying if you hurt a child, you're immediately eligible for the death penalty.
Yeah, but the Knight's Law is that gentleman was in prison, was set to come out after he did serve his 85%, but he committed a felon while he was still in that should have revoked him getting out, but they didn't. They let him come out, and he was supposed to go back in on that Monday after he killed those 5 kids and that lady.
Yeah, Jesse McFadden is a devil. And so is his mother that worked at the courthouse, and so is his skanky brother that did all those horrible things to dogs and his girlfriend.
But with those, he should have never been let out of prison when he committed a felon. When somebody gave him a phone that he was taking pictures and sending nude pictures of himself to 13-year-old girls.
Yeah.
I mean, they had this where it showed that he had sent him to a 13-year-old girl. Her grandpa had found the phone, had turned it over to the police, said, hey, this guy's a convicted felony coming in. But because the state had said he'd served 85% of what he was in there for, let's let him release and then we'll bring him back. Well, he's already been in there for years. He ain't coming back. But that allowed him to do what he did. So, the Knight's Law their law is if you're in prison and you're scheduled to get out, but you commit a felony or do something, it's to revoke your right to get out. You take away your get out of jail free card.
Makes perfect sense to me.
Right.
And
I mean, that's the same way. I mean, the guy committed a felony while he was in the pen.
And this whole shaving their time off because they shower, because of their hygiene.
Well, they shower, they talk nice to other inmates. Ronnie had picked up a piece of paper and put it in the trash where it belonged. Stuff like that was what they made up to give him time off because of his health issues. They wanted him out of the courts, out of the prison system, so if he developed something major, the state wouldn't have it. The state of Oklahoma prison wouldn't have to pay for all that medicine that he would need.
Have you ever noticed, Miss Lorene, that when they get out or when they get away with something, the next time is worse?
Yes. because they think they're untouchable.
Invincible. Yeah. I mean, we're seeing it on the daily, but we're all supposed to sit back and cry and go, they bleed red too. No, that's our neighbors. No, my neighbors aren't pedophiles. My neighbors aren't murderers. No. Don't talk to me about things like that. It's an absolute shame. And we have laws stacked up to the sky. It takes somebody with balls to enforce them and get it all the way done.
Another fail in the system. Something has to change. You know, how many more kids' lives have to be wasted because people won't take the time to make sure they're safe.
And Lorraine Bible told me from here on out, wherever Ronnie Busick goes, she's going to go too because she wants answers. Justin Air, 2 News, Oklahoma.
I'm so proud of you for getting that bill put through, because I know you had to knock on a lot of doors. Who was the best person? I know you mentioned a representative out of Miami, Oklahoma. By the way, I went to school there.
Yeah, his name was Steve Bayshore.
Mm-hmm.
He's the one that my niece Lisa Broderick, or it's Bible Broderick, but she was friends with his wife, and that's how we started it. And then we got him on board, which then we got our own representatives here in Craig County on board. You know, what more do you need? What do you need? And then due to all their contacts in the House, we were able to get other people on board. That's why the House passed it both times. You know, we only had a few that had anything against it. It was the Senate that took the most. You know, I will tell you, if you're trying to get anything passed, you need to visit every senator and House of Representative person personally, because just because it's a law being passed, they do not make themselves know about everything that's being brought before them. It's quite, you have to scream and you have to knock and you have to get it heard so everybody knows what's going on. The first time we tried to pass it to the Senate, the day that we found out he had killed it, we went up and we still talked to some of the senators. And some of them had no clue that it was even scheduled to be heard, let alone what it was about. And my question to one of the lady senators is, why don't you know? Something's coming before you that your committee decided it was good enough to hear. Why aren't you? And she said, you know, that's a good question. I don't know why. Well, why do we take the time to elect officials to go represent us as a body of people if you're not going to go make sure you know everything that's coming across your table? At least know about it. Ask questions about it. But, you know, that's why the second time we knew what we was up against. We made a lot of noise. We put things in every newspaper, against every media from, you know, Northwest Oklahoma, down around Oklahoma City, down in Southern Oklahoma. So every senator in the state of Oklahoma would know what the Laura Bible Ashley Freeman law was.
People have asked for years, and again, you don't have to answer. Have you ever thought about running for a political office?
No, because, you know, sometimes you get in there and you're too busy doing meetings and happen to kind of pacify people. On this side, I can do what I want when I want. Like when somebody calls me and tells me, hey, we heard something about so-and-so, I, as Laura's mom, can leave here and I can drive anywhere and go talk to anybody. But the minute I know somebody with the media, I mean, with law enforcement knows they have to go. Like if we're coming out of Craig County and we're going to Ottawa County, we got to let them know we're coming there and why we're coming there and who we're talking to. If, depending on whose land we're going on, it's so much more when you get the law enforcement involved because they can't go in another district without letting them know they're coming. If you go in another state, you're taking the OSBI with the FBI because Lori is Indian. You get the Bureau of Indian Affairs, all the people, and we're going to another state. You got to let all those people know you're coming. For me, I can go anywhere. So if I was tied up doing something like that and something come up, I couldn't just up and leave and go do what I need to do.
Very smart. Very smart. Does it flatter you when people ask you?
No, I just, when people ask how I do things, because I've had other families of missing people. When people up and they go missing, they disappear. What is the first things? I tell them what they need to do because I didn't know. Nobody sat there and told us this is what you need to do to protect you and your family.
And again, Laura was going to a birthday party.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody could have anticipated this. All right, Tuesday, Lori Fulbright, who has been all over this case, according to her. Lorene could probably tell us different. I don't know. She did an entire documentary, and there's a lot of stuff going on in it. And I was looking at the comments, and it opened a lot of new questions.
But it's turned into a baffling murder mystery.
Ultimately, I got to get the girls back.
There's no possibility they left here under their own power.
There was too many things that were not handled properly.
There's a renewed sense of urgency in the search for Laura Bible and Ashley Freeman.
A man who pleaded guilty in the disappearance of 2 Welch girls is being released from prison after serving 2 years and 4 months of his 10-year sentence.
Lori Fulbright, crime expert, victims advocate. She's dedicated.
Hi, everybody. I'm Lori Fulbright. This episode of the Fulbright Files is about a case that's happened many, many years ago. It was 2 teenage girls who were kidnapped from a home. They were just enjoying a birthday party night, and they are presumed murdered, and their bodies have never been found.
Family and friends and investigators are honoring the lives of 2 girls from Welch on the 25th anniversary of their disappearance.
Laura and Ashley's law goes into effect on November 1st.
Doing everything we can to find you.
This case has captivated this part of Oklahoma for many years. It happened.
The whole state. No one has stopped talking about it. No one. Have you ever added up all of the internet, podcasts, Spotify, Rumble, Twitter, how many people still talk about your daughter and her best friend, Ashley?
I have never stopped and added it all up. I know that I was told the third day the girls went missing by John Walsh that I needed to make a decision. I was either going to go hide in a closet or I was going to become Laura's voice. Because if I hid in a closet, in 5 years, nobody would know who Laura Bible was. Well, I don't go hide in the closet from anything, so I become her voice. I want to know why, what happened, where it's going. And he says that's the only reason it's going to stay. So for me, continue doing as people say, fight the good fight, keeping it out there is, 26 years later, the girls, people still know who Laura and Ashley are and was.
On Highway 75, going towards Mulgee, they have one of those billboards that switches all the time.
Uh-huh.
And they put missing people up. We were going to the reservation to buy meat, and Laura and Ashley pulled up. And I was like, that's amazing.
Mm-hmm. Well, we
in Craig
still
County,
put
Oklahoma. And there have been numerous searches for the girls' remains over the years, and that has become kind of the life focus of the man I'm about to introduce you to right now. This case has really captured people because who could take two little innocent girls out of a home, murder one of their parents, set the home on fire, and then it's like they've just disappeared off the face of the earth. A case sat there for a long time being unsolved until two people got a hold of that case, and they have now solved it. The only thing we haven't done is found the girls and brought them home. So my guest today is Gary Stansel, and Gary and I go back.
Now, do you know Gary?
I know Gary. I mean, I approached him in probably 2017, 16, 17, after I had heard that he had retired from the Tulsa law enforcement, was working out of the DA's office in Claremore for Rogers, Mays, and Craig County, and that he had been talking to the Freeman side of the family, but he never once come and talked to the Bible side. And so one day I got tired of hearing about this gentleman, and I went to, because I worked in Claremore at the time, and I went to their courthouse and went to the DA's office and asked to meet Gary Stansel. And he come out and he said, I said, well, my name's Lorene Bible, and I hear tell you've been talking for the last year to the Freeman side of the family, but you've never once come across 3 miles across the section and talked to the Bible side. And he said, well, he has a job that he works for the DA's office specifically. He does Laura and Ashley's cold case. At the time, it was a cold case, in his spare time, I said, okay, but if you're talking to people, why aren't you talking to the only mother or father that's alive that would know anything? He said, well, that makes good sense. So I went there with a purpose, because in 2016, we had a lady help my niece, Lisa. We did the girls' Facebook page, which is Find Laura Bible. And with it up and running, social media come to the forefront after 16 years of nothing. And we were getting comments to us, me and my niece, we need to talk to you. We have information. So I had got information that I needed to go to Setopa, Kansas, and find this well that was in this piece of property of a gentleman that Danny Freeman was friends with in Setopa that went to prison for murder. That the girls possibly could be in the basement of his home or in a well on his property. So basically, I went into the DA's office and I told them, here's what I'm fixing to do. You're either with me or you're not. And, Gary, by that time, he'd called the DA, had come in there, another investigator had come in there, because that was rather loud. And then Tammy Ferrari with the OSBI was brought in. And they're like, well, this case is very complex. I looked at the book that Steve Nutter, the retired OSBI agent, had left for them, and half the stuff that should have been in that book was not. And I told them, I said, I'm here to tell you, you don't have half the information. And that's when they said, well, can you tell us what you've done for 16 years? Well, here's what we've done. These are the people we talk to. This is who you need to go talk to. And at that time, they kind of went through everything and restarted talking to people. And, for many years, it was like, if I'd get something, I'd call them, and then we would do stuff together.
Now, who was the DA at the time in 2017?
Matt Ballard.
Matt Ballard, he's been there that damn long? Because before that, Gene Haynes. Did Gene Haynes work with you?
Well, Gene Haynes was on when the day it happened. I don't know whether he might have been in office, but he left right after that. He did come to the Freeman property the day that we found Danny Freeman. He was there with, then it was the assistant district attorney was a gentleman from Veneta, Clint Ward. They were at the Freeman property.
Yeah, I don't know what Matt Ballard's deal is. I mean, for one, he doesn't work well with the sheriff of Rogers County. He doesn't work well with Scott Walton. I don't know what's going on there. I mean, I'll just say internal politics.
3 decades. We have covered numerous stories together. He started with Tulsa Police Departments when I met Gary and solved some of the biggest sex offender serial rape cases that Tulsa has ever seen, and decided to retire, but not really, and became an investigator for a district attorney's office that covers not only the county we're talking about today, but 2 other counties. And this case ended up in your lap and with an OSBI agent, that's the Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation. And really, that was the first time, Gary, that we saw movement in this case, is when the 2 of you got this and became like bulldogs and refused to let it go. And now we know who was involved. We pretty much know what happened. We pretty much...
Okay, don't give him too much credit. Sec to No One said so they were starting over with your information after 16 years instead of working with you from the beginning. It's almost like they really didn't want to solve the case at all. She said, just my opinion and feeling.
Well, when it first happened, because the OSB agent, Steve Nutter, he didn't like anybody to tell him or ask him questions, put him on like he didn't know how to do his job. I did that on a daily basis. When he sat and walked on Danny Freeman's body the first day it happened on the 30th, when he was walking on his body, when we found Danny's body, he had cowboy boots imprints in his body. Steve Nutter was the only one wearing cowboy boots.
Idiot. So he walked on Denny's boat.
He walked on Danny Freeman. So, the guy, you walked on him. The only floor left on that structure Danny Freeman's body was on. They didn't move anything. They didn't do anything. And that's why we were sitting there the second day saying, oh, no, this is not your case. You closed this last night at 5:00. Said there's 100%. No other bodies in that fire. You release the scene. So it's not your scene, it's our scene. And here's what we're going to do. You can be here for it, but here's what we're going to do. They did not like that. I didn't care. What are you going to
do? No. I mean, what do they say? I mean, perception is not reality.
Well, by that time, number one, there'd be ink on their face because, they had released, there was only one body. The rumor had it that Danny was seen in a white Ford truck. He had the girls. He was hiding out with them. He wanted to trade the girls for David Hayes, the deputy that had shot their son, and found out that, Danny Freeman was in the fire the whole time.
The entire time.
The entire time. He was laying there on the floor, but nobody cared enough to do their job. Now, once I find Laura and Ashley, because for a year it was a fight against Danny Freeman and the law enforcement. Because Danny thought that it was wrongful death suit was what he was trying to go for. So that was all it was. At the time because people told me I should have took and sued the OSBI for what happened at the beginning of this case. But I didn't want it to be the Bibles against the law enforcement. I wanted all the focus to be on recovering the girls. So that's why I didn't do nothing. I didn't say a lot. It's the girls matter. We need to recover the girls. We need to bring the girls home. But it's going to come a day that I will go and I will say, the way people investigate, it doesn't matter who they are. If you've been to that home 1,000,000 times, you follow the rules. Because Danny Freeman's body could have been found the first day if they'd looked.
I don't exactly know what they thought they were stepping on.
Oh, they claimed the second day that the stuff from the ceiling and all the debris was so high and it was so hot the first day. That's why they didn't find Denny's body. That's the excuse they tried to cover up. No, you walked on him. You chose not to do your job. You chose to be that I'm right and you're all's wrong, you know, and then it blew up in your face. So after that, every chance I had, yeah, I did. I told people Steve Nutter did not know how to do his job, and I did. I did. I went to many places where he did come. It got to the point they would send another person with Steve Nutter. And I would say, I mean, he asked me at one point, do you know everybody? I said, well, I know a lot of people, and I know people that know people that know people.
And that's called investigation.
You know, that's just it. But, I worked in food service for almost 40 years. People don't always like the food that we fix and we give them. They had a right to complain. That's not you personally. It's do your job. Do what it takes to make the customer right. Well, I'm your customer. I'm the mother of a missing child. Do your job. Not that I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing. Well, you didn't. You know, when the OSBI released that he'd passed away, people asked me what I thought. Couldn't happen to a nicer person. Now he's paying for all the stuff that he didn't do and do right because he chose not to do stuff like he should have. It's a choice.
I wish my cousin Chris would get involved. He's Aunt Sherry's son, and but he worked the narcotics unit in at OSBI. He's retired now, and he wants to do nothing but play with grandbabies and fish.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of times when people are retired, they actually have more knowledge than when they are working.
Well, that's like, they can come up with a lot of cold case people that all come in, and there's a lot of knowledge there that when you bring out what was done, okay, what should have been done, is there something, you never know when something like that's going to spark, hey, let's go do this. What avenue was not done?
Mm-hmm.
And, in technology, every year, every month comes a long way. I mean, in 99, we didn't have Facebook. We didn't have social media like we do now, So when somebody disappears now, you can immediately get it out there and it can go all across the nation in a matter of hours.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't have that till 2016. That's why people say, well, when Gary and Tammy got the case, well, you know what? We didn't have social media till 2016.
No,
So,
totally different world. Totally
yes.
different world. Big T said, I'm in awe of this supermom. Me too.
Yeah, but people tell me that. But when it's your child, your grandchild, your niece or your nephew, and you're very passionate about your family, anybody can do it. You just got to say, I want answers, and what do I need to do?
One thing that's always struck me about you in 26 years, you've never come to the public wanting to get rich, if you know what I mean.
No.
And we see it in other cases where they're so happy and they're like, I need money to search. There's a case in Hendersonville, Tennessee, where the dad, he's constantly asking for money to search. And it's like, what are you talking about?
I will say
everything.
Go ahead.
I will say that when this happened, the people that were there with us at the start of this, the news media, the TV reporters, the newspapers, they have stood beside us throughout this for 26 years. Anytime I've wanted to do anything, even when it's new people taking over, you know, it's still there's somebody, hey, I want to be part of this case. People, even when they move on to other networks, other cities, they still keep to this case saying, what more can we do to help you? Keep it out there. You know, so you know, with the media and what goes on, you know, anytime I'm ready to do something, we go to do it. Lori is Cherokee Nation. She's an Indian. The Indian nations, they will step up and do just about anything we need.
And that is amazing.
Yeah.
Except where those girls are. You're still working on that. I mean, we were just talking, there are still searches being done for those victims right now. I mean, that's going to happen soon.
Right. We're still doing a lot of work, excuse me, on searching for these girls. We're not done yet, and we're still following up on some pretty good information. So it just takes time in this particular search that we're doing. We've done so many, and you all have covered a lot of them, the ones in Pitcher, around Pitcher, and there'd been searches long before Tammy and I took hold of this case. They did a lot of searches back then in the early days, and that was just, you know, of course, we came up empty-handed. The only thing we can say is we know where they're not at.
Right, and that is kind of the heartbreaker, right? We get everybody out there, we get equipment, we get people. I mean, this is a production when we search, and then to have it not be this location. But again, at least we're crossing that off the list and we can move on to the next one.
Right.
I mean, that's the good thing about that.
Yeah, we got distracted from the beginning of this case. Once we focused in on these particular suspects and we started learning where they might be maybe in a mine shaft in the Pitcher area where there's hundreds of them. Right. And we got a local expert that's helped us on these mine shafts, Ed Kahili, that's researched all these mine shafts. So he's been a big help with us. And they researched which shafts were open at that time. So we were focused on mine shafts, but we didn't know which one. There were so many that were open during that time frame. So anyway, then after Ronnie Busick we arrested Ronnie Busick, and information started coming from him to look for a root cellar. The girls may be in a root cellar.
That kind of changed the whole focus.
Kind of changes. So now we're looking for root cellars where
How can Ronnie Busick, who, like you said, lives in Tulsa right now, give them tips but claim to know nothing?
That's just part of, I mean, he's been in the drug world scene for 50, 60 years. He knows how it works. He knows, here's what you tell. I need to give him enough to get him off my case, but I ain't saying a word.
I mean, we're talking mine shafts in Pitcher, Oklahoma, and root cellars, but he doesn't know anything. He just drove a car.
Yep, that's his thing. I mean, I'm guilty by association.
There's no such thing.
Oh, there is. You're guilty because you run around with people that commit crimes, murder. You know, that's why we work so hard to pass the law. Because if you're going to be around those type of people and you're not going to get help for the people that they're hurting, then you're just as guilty. So that's why the Laura Ashley law.
Oh, no, what I meant was when I say there's no such thing, don't just write it off and say, oh, they're just my friends. You're still guilty.
Right. But, you know, people don't think of it like that. I'm just with my buds, my bros, my girls. Well, when bad stuff happens, you're just as guilty as they are.
We just all have to remember that only 0.5% of this population thinks the way certain people do. But they are the loudest. They are the loudest.
Ground penetrating radar, we searched it, talked to people who lived there before and after. There was no root cellar there. Well, maybe it was a different one. Well, after the plea deal with Ronnie Busick, we were able to talk with him, and he clarified. He said, no, it's not that location where Phil Welch lived. It was a different location in Pitcher. Of course, Pitcher back then is not the way Pitcher is now. It's the buyout, and there's...
See, again, he knows nothing. He's just hanging out and decided to take a drive on December 29th of 1999. He knows nothing, but he suggests all these places. I want to know how many times new investigators with fresh eyes have gone to see Ronnie over in Tulsa.
I don't think they have. I do not think they have. I think Gary and Tammy talk to him periodically, but I don't think any new people go and talk to him.
Nothing there. Landmarks were gone.
People think, oh, it's a town, so you can see where the streets are. But that was a federal, waste site, and it's just been evacuated and bought out. And now it is, you can't really tell what things were and where they were.
No. And so we took him out there, and but he couldn't find it. Finally, we found the location he was describing, and there was a concrete looking root cellar. So we got very excited, think this might be it. And we did a big dig. I think you all were out there, and we opened up that thing. There was nothing there. I mean, there wasn't even anything underground. So that
did your heart just sink?
It did. And but just before we did that, I found out that probably not going to be a location because that place had burned down before the girls disappeared. So now we're kind of back on the mine shaft stuff, and we come to find out that Busick was kind of speculating on this based on information that he thought he knew. So that was his guess. And it was a logical guess based on what he told us, but he learned from the other suspects.
But it wasn't maybe as sure of information as maybe we thought at the time.
Right.
Let's back up, because I know the search right now for their remains is the focus, but take me back to when really this case had no movement, and then you guys get this box of evidence that's been sitting in a storeroom closet area for a long time, abandoned, and you guys start going through it, and you identify the killers and the fact that one of them's still alive, and you go interview him in prison, and that leads to the only conviction in this case. So what was it like when you guys first got that box of evidence and you first got this case handed to you?
Okay, well, before we got that box of evidence, Tammy and I had already focused in on these three individuals, started to focus in on them. And when we got that box, that information, that just corroborated that we were on the right track. There was people's names in there, witnesses' names, our suspects' names were there. And it wasn't on a report form. It's like someone had written it down on a piece of paper.
Just some notes, like
right.
Notes
it was
about
like
this
notes.
guy and this guy.
And of course, when we looked at these notes, everything.
He's going to be dead and gone before they pressure him. Pressure bursts the pipes. And he knows other people. He knows.
Oh, yeah. He knows who the other people were that associated with that group in Pitcher back in the day, in Parsons, in Pittsburgh, whatever that area is there. But, like I said, he's been in the system enough. He knows what to do and what not to do, and he's going to do that.
And what is he worried about now? Is he really worried about, because I understand they have mentioned cartels several times. And we were talking about that last night. Is he really worried at his age with everything he's had to live with that something's going to happen to him like he's worth it? I wouldn't think so.
Things start falling in place. We interviewed some of the people that were in there, and everything.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Miss Lorene.
I said, with him, with his thinking is anybody else isn't coming actually to go kill him. But the people that know what happened to Denny and Kathy, where the girls are, what happened to them, if he talks out of turn, they're coming to shut him up immediately. He won't die of natural causes or whatever. He will die because we're coming to shut you up because you should have shut up and not said anything. That's why it's been 26 years of a little bit coming out, having to work our tails off to find anything is because people are afraid. There are other people. These three wasn't the only three involved in this.
No way. No way. Who advocates besides you on the Freeman side of the family?
They don't.
in 26 years, we've never seen them. And I've always thought that maybe they had something to hide and maybe they're not offering up information they should.
Well, the thing about it is Danny's biological mom and dad are dead. His stepmom is dead. Kathy and Danny are dead. Shane is gone. Ashley has disappeared with Laura. He has a brother, Lonnie, but he isn't very out and about. He's got a sister, Judy, that ain't out and about. They like hiding closets. For a while, Danny's stepbrother, Dwayne, was working with us when we'd find out stuff. But, you know, his mother passed away. That was married to Glenn Freeman. So, you know, I'm only a step one. You know, now he's able to step back and go on with their lives because their association with the Freemans aren't there to do every day. Kathy's brother Terrell, he wasn't actively involved in Kathy and Danny's life. He didn't like Danny Freeman. He will tell you to this day he didn't like him. But he still wants Ashley to be found. She's still my niece, but he's not one to go out and put himself out there. So, you know, that's why I tell people, they say, well, who's fighting for Ashley? When I find Laura, I will find Ashley. The girls are together wherever they're at.
Exactly.
So, you know, for me, you know, people say, well, why are you fighting for somebody else's kid? Well, you know what? She's somebody's child, you know?
He's your daughter's best friend.
You know, they grew up together. So, you know, I don't let it bother me. You know, sometimes it infuriates me that nobody can stand up and say, hey, the Freemans are still here. We're still here. But I also know there's nobody immediate on their side left.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I would say there are some people that could help you out. They just choose not to.
Well, for them, because of everything that you listen to, it's like, you know, it's a lot of trouble. You know, people's lives are very busy and crazy and stuff. You know, this is something I choose. This is my choice to find my child, you know? So,
I mean, it seems like your life is busy and crazy too. You don't ever put Laura on the back burner or Ashley.
no, but I mean, this is what I do. I mean, it's, you know, when John Walsh told me I have to make a decision, it was my decision to be that person. So, you know, when I bring Laura and Ashley home, then I can say what I really want to say to families.
What did you think when John Walsh said that you were one of the bravest women he's ever known?
Well, as again, I tell him, no, I'm just a mom trying to find her child. And what do I need to do that?
Did he give you sage advice?
He told me I had to be her voice, that I needed not to go hide. I need to question everything. And I did. I questioned everything. Oh, you did? Are you sure we're doing it? I still do it to this day. When law enforcement, you know, they'll have meetings and they'll say, well, what about this? Well, what about this? What about this? Well, I never thought about that, you know?
Were you confused, upset, or anything when different cold case places said that the case is too complex for them to get into?
Well, I always want to know why. What's complex about it?
Yeah.
You know, it's not complex. I'm not here to point fingers, you know. That's not what I'm here to do. I mean, I could have done it at the beginning, but that wouldn't have got me nowhere. My thing is look at it. What else could be done? What questions didn't get asked?
And you've done all the above.
Start coming together that we were on the right track. These individuals were involved, and as far as we could tell, the information, these were the only individuals that were involved.
And we thought it was drug, right? We thought that these guys were druggies and that they were killing Ashley Freeman's parents. Ashley Freeman and Laura Bible are the two girls we're talking about, and had kidnapped the girls. So we kind of thought that, and that really, this evidence kind of proved, yes, that's what these guys were about back in that day, was the drug trade.
Right. We speculated from the beginning this was drug related, and sure enough, it was somewhat drug related. And it was a situation that went bad that night. I don't know that the individuals went there to commit a murder. I think the situation happened, things got out of control, and shooting started.
Right. And so Ashley Freeman's parents are both killed.
Right.
The girls are gone. They were just having to spend a sleepover that night for Ashley's birthday party, or her birthday. And so the girls were gone.
Right.
The house is in, the mobile home is then set on fire. So that gets rid of a lot of evidence. So it's just a tragic case, whether they went there to kill people or not, or went there to kidnap these little girls or not. It went south fast.
Oh, it did, and the girls, we found out later, had actually escaped at some point. I don't know when the shooting started or whatever, but they did escape, and that was corroborated by a couple of people, witnesses. And
Okay, so he's saying that nobody was there, he doesn't think, to commit a murder, but he believes the girls escaped. Do you know, or can you say? If you can't, don't do it.
Well, what happened is supposedly, with all the talk of everybody that's come forward and they've done, is the people went there to do whatever. Hey, you owe me money, you need to do this. And it escalated to the point that Danny and Kathy were shot. And I think when that happened, the girls may have went out the back door of the trailer home and, was out hiding in there. And then, when the house set on fire, it's like, hey, girls, come here, we'll help you. We need to go get somebody. You got two 16-year-old girls that's seeing people shot and killed and places burned. For Laura, that would probably max her out and then some, because she was never around anything like that. But like, I think they went there. I think things escalated. I think Danny Freeman was the point that, no, I'm not going to do XYZ. And I think that's when the gunshots, that thing happened. It escalated. Because when you owe people, whether it's a drug cartel or stuff, and you put up a fight, things like this happen.
Absolutely. They're there to get their money. And I almost wonder if Kathy, I don't see Ashley's dad doing it, didn't try to protect the girls and maybe tell them to run. Because as you have said before many times, you don't think that Kathy knew what was going on.
No, I didn't think she knew the extent of what he did.
And when they say they went and burnt down the house, that tells me it's totally premeditated, because they didn't exactly show up with things to burn down the house.
No, they used a gas can because it's wintertime. Danny and Kathy burnt with wood. There's gasoline around there. You can put it and throw a match on it and light it and be done with it.
Mm-hmm.
But when they tried to get up and run, they were seen and captured by the perpetrators. So, that was tragic, knowing that they had almost gotten away and stuff. In fact, one of the suspects had made a comment to one of our witnesses. Had they not tried to escape, they'd be alive today. We didn't know. Heart. Right, it did. And we didn't know what that meant until we started corroborating it from another witness that what had happened was they actually had escaped, was hiding in the field. When the fire started, I guess illuminated the field, and they got up and ran and were captured.
Wow.
And taken the picture.
The thing that you also learned then, after some of these witnesses are now talking years later, is that people had seen Polaroids. Back then it was a Polaroid picture, right? Not like we have today on cell phones, but of these girls tied up. To me, that was one of the most heartbreaking things to read in that affidavit, is that somebody had seen.
When did you hear about the Polaroid pictures?
Oh, We heard that like in 2018, 19, 20, somewhere along in there, that there was supposedly pictures of the girls tied up in the trailer home. That's where the memorial site is in picture. Um, that they was tied up, and supposedly Ronnie Busick was there watching them, making sure they didn't try to bust out of there and stuff before they were actually killed.
That's a lot to take in. Have you seen the pictures?
No, the pictures mysteriously disappeared. Depends on which suspects or people you talk to. Multiple people say they saw them. They're in like a suitcase, and not a suitcase like we have today. You got to think this is 1999 when there wasn't all the fancy stuff we have now. Kind of like that, or like a briefcase like men used to carry back in the day. They were in something like that. And then supposedly somebody got it, was told to bury it, and can't remember where they buried it.
Yeah, that sounds like a Joel and Ethan Coen movie. Someone is lying, and someone has seen the pictures. Oh, I see her Pooh Bear.
Yeah.
Hi, Pooh Bear. And by the way, anybody that comes through Veneta, Oklahoma, please, please, please visit Lorraine's shop. I know I'm going to the minute these roads clear up.
Them when they were still alive. And I don't care what kind of drug world you're in. I don't care who you're afraid of back then in the day, but anybody could have gone to a payphone and called that anonymous tip-in and said, these girls are here. And it just kills me that nobody back then did anything, because they knew there was a time when those girls were alive.
Right. Information on this case actually came out very early on, almost a year after it happened. But the thing didn't gel at that time. Of course, we weren't involved in it. And there were so many other people that they were looking at. There were 2 serial killers that confessed to this case.
Right. And turned out to both be liars.
Both be liars. That so many.
When I watched John Walsh talking about Laura and Ashley's case, he also spoke about how people admitted to his son's case.
Mm-hmm.
And what did you think when people were admitting? Were you ready to say, oh, okay, they did it? Or did you know there's something else going on here?
No, when people say, hey, I did this, I did it, well, I want to talk to them. Let me be the one asking them, because by the time people come forward and said that, there was so much out there in the newspapers, on TV about the case, you could sit and make up your own scenario and go for it.
John Ramsey's gone through it for years. For years. Since 1996. How many people have confessed to killing John Bonet? Mm-hmm. I would love for you to go to CrimeCon and speak on the stage.
Red herrings misdirected us for so long that took us for a very long time before things started coming together. We started finding witnesses that corroborated that these 3 individuals that we were looking for. We had their names, along with hundreds of others' names. Yeah. But the problem with this case is there's not a good process eliminating the suspect. So you find someone, you look at them, they're capable of it, but we can't say they did it, we can't say they didn't do it. So it was a difficult case because so many viable suspects on
Which is weird, because usually you're looking for a suspect, just one, but this one had so many that it could have been.
Oh yeah, a big old mountain of names up there. And so early on we were just sorting through these things, and we had these other individuals named in there. Just like when we were working serial rape cases in Tulsa, the Gary Graham case,
Yes.
You remember that?
Yes, I do.
We had tons and tons of leads. Just getting the information was hard. And finally we cataloged it. And after a while, when you start sorting through this thing, the suspect surfaces, comes up. And that's the sad part about it. Sometimes it takes so long for things to come together.
Some people felt too that maybe there was I think frustration that box of evidence that had these notes, that nobody really did a hard dive into it. They kind of felt like maybe law enforcement in the beginning, not you guys, didn't maybe do as much as they could have. And it's always hard on families. Families always want answers right away, and I get that. But do you feel like there was some lag there too, or was it really just there were so many people to weed through and it just didn't get to these guys it just took time?
I think it was because there were so many other people, and even myself, we looked at this serial killer.
Okay, well, tell me, who are all the other people and why didn't you go through the notes?
Well, they do what they want.
Down in Mobile, Alabama, that confessed to it. What he said matched everything good, but there wasn't quite enough that we could corroborate his confession. That's Jeremy Jones.
Yep.
And we hung up on him. He looked good. So we're looking and focusing on there, and you're missing the other stuff because, finally, when we started finding some other witnesses that came forward, we turned our direction towards those individuals and said, and find the corroboration we needed. And it wasn't Jeremy Jones. Right. It was these individuals.
Is it weird to you? You've been an investigator for a long time, but it's weird to people that serial killers are going to confess to a murder they didn't commit. I mean, that's weird, but that's stuff that you see, right? People come up and claim things all the time as an investigator.
Right. And I don't understand it, but I've seen cases where that's happened, where I guess they want the notoriety. I don't know why, but it just, it's very frustrating. And it's a red herring. It misdirects us and stuff. You got to check it out.
Right.
And so we were hung up on that for a long time. And there's so many different frustrating aspects about this case that looking back, you see opportunities that were missed. And that's the way it is with any major case, any cold case. When it finally gets solved, you finally realize, oh my gosh, the information's here all along. It just didn't surface. And that's the way cold cases usually are.
Can I say this, and I don't want to be out of turn? They call it a cold case because I think they're just not looking the right way.
Well, they call it a cold case because it's not something easy. You have to go and you have to dig. You got to hunt. It's taken a long time to do it. So they work on it. They'd work on it a while and then they quit working on it because something new comes up. There's always somebody getting hurt and killed across, that's just it, But,
yeah. You can watch the news any morning. They'll tell you at 4:30 a.m., 5:30 a.m., 6 a.m. This happened at 31st and Sheridan at the Quick Trip. Then at noon. Found the person. They like those slam dunks. They like them.
Right. But when it's something you have to dig, you have to hunt. Unfortunately, things wasn't done right at the beginning. It's 16 years later when people actually start looking and, people have already dead and gone by then. People moved away. A lot of people have forgotten a lot more stuff than they remember nowadays.
And psychopaths love, and I do believe anyone that did this is a psychopath. I don't believe for a second that they don't like toying with people's emotions, lying to the police because they get their jollies from it.
Knew from the beginning, from research and from the studies I've gone through, that on cold cases, probably 75% of the time you have the perpetrator's name in the files. Wow. And what they tell you to do is go back.
Keep going back.
Look at the early leads. Chances are you've walked over your suspect.
And that's what happened. So you find that you pretty much zero in on these guys. 2 of them are dead, but there's one alive and he's sitting in a prison out of state. And so you go there and talk to him. What was that like?
Well, he's actually in custody in jail, and Ronnie Busick would always talk to us. He could have requested a lawyer. He didn't have to talk to us, but he did. He never refused to talk to us. But he also didn't give us the information I knew that he had.
Right. He was holding back.
He was holding back and still holding back to this day on some of the stuff. Now, as far as the knowledge he has about where the girls were disposed of, we pretty well determined he did not know. Now, he was involved that night. We know that for a fact. But afterwards, he may not have been, the other two may not have trusted him with the information.
Because he kind of was a bit player. He wasn't the boss. Right. He wasn't the head guy.
Exactly. He was along for the ride, and things probably got out of hand. But we knew he was there that night and involved that night for sure.
So you've taught interrogation classes for a long time. So was this a tricky interrogation with him? You kind of love on him a little bit, kind of hard cop, bad cop. I mean, how did you kind of approach him, or was it always just we just need your help?
All of above. We did everything.
Every technique in the
Every
book.
kind of technique, and not just me. We've had some really good so the top interrogators with the FBI went and talked to him and everything, and finally determined he doesn't know where these girls are. Now, as far as all the little details that night,
he just won't give them all up.
Go there.
Even though he's been convicted, he's out of prison now. He served his time, but still.
Well, right. He just,
Chrissy said, why is he defending him like that? And how does he know? Well, because they have the case file and you get more bees with honey. If he was on here right now saying, I know he knows. I know he knows. We already know he's not going to talk. We already know he's been doing the bait and switch for a long time. Anything you want to add, Miss Lorraine?
No, it's just like, they say, due to the thing, he may not have been there when the girls was actually killed and dumped, but he was around that group. I know from kids in school, adults when you get together, people get around and they sit and they talk about what happened. And I know the kids of these people that come forward in 2016, they were told to go in rooms. These kids knew that something bad had happened. So, he can't tell me he didn't go and was around these people and stuff was going on and didn't know, hey, the girls were killed. They dumped him in a mine shaft, So, but that's how they play. I mean, that's how they do it, because whoever else is involved that's calling the shots is still out there. And if he tells, they're coming to get him. They're going to snuff him out.
Exactly. And someone knows. And someone knows the entire story.
You think he's told just enough that where he feels like, okay, I've satisfied what I'm supposed to, but I'm going to keep these till the grave, some other secrets?
I think what it does, the way to get information out of him is to talk, what did the other guys tell you happened? And
not what did you do, maybe.
Not what you did, but what did they tell you that they did? And so that's how we got some information out of him. But he's very guarded. Ronnie Busick, very guarded. Of course, and I'm not defending him at all about anything. He had the opportunity. He should have called immediately if he wasn't involved. And so shame on him. His blood on his hands, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. So he might be cooperating after you find him in jail, but he definitely could have done way more at the time.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Did he tell you did he give an explanation of how it actually went down? Like, we go in, we've got our guns blazing, we're demanding money, we're demanding payment, and then things go south. Did he kind of walk you through what happened that night?
No, that's the problem. I have to ask him leading questions sometimes. So the answers you get from leading questions are not very reliable.
Right.
And so we think what happened was they went there and he confirmed that they went there to collect money. Something went wrong inside. Bill Welch had the gun. Danny Freeman was there and may have gone for a gun also. We cannot corroborate that. We don't know for sure, but there was gunfire.
Well, how many guns were found? Because the Freemans have the pew-pews. How many guns did they find?
There was a lot of guns. I don't even know their date. I know when we were pulling and we were taking the house down, we were laying guns out in the grass.
Okay.
So there was a lot. I mean, there was guns in Danny and Kathy's bedrooms. There was some beside the front door. There were some back in the back bedroom where it used to be Shane's that Ashley had went into. I mean, they deer hunted. They lived on a farm. You have guns.
Oh, yeah. No one said anything about that. Makes me kind of wonder about the fact that, Danny Freeman, he had so many, if he was paranoid about something.
Well, I think, the law enforcement from the last year was tit for tat. Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure he had him everywhere. So no matter where he was in his house, if one of them guys showed up, yeah, he could have took and done business with whoever.
We know that for sure, that Phil Welch opened fire and killed Kathy and Danny Freeman and got the girls and took the girls. And that was another thing about this case. We couldn't figure out why take the girls. Exactly. And so that was so frustrating. I mean, who would do something like this?
Right. It's one thing they have a drug debt, maybe,
Right.
and we kill them over it because things go
Right.
south. But what do these little girls, these little innocent girls, have to do anything? Leave them alone.
Yes, I know, exactly. So what type of person would do something like that? And so when you look at these individuals that we looked at in the past, it didn't really gel with them that much. They weren't capable. I wouldn't say they weren't capable of it, but it didn't really fit these other
Their
individuals
MOs.
that we're looking at. And, there were drug dealers that the federal officials talked to that said, look, I've handled millions of dollars with drug money. Why would I take those girls?
It's a good point. You think? How would you describe Phil Welch, the ringleader of this night, this event?
I can tell you what other people described him. He was very, very evil. Okay. Extremely. I mean, once we learned about him from other individuals, then everything came together. It fit. This is the type of person that would do that. I mean, it really fit. And taking the girls to him wasn't a burden. That was a prize for him. That's the type of person he was from the information we've got.
Everybody else been like, what are we going to do with these girls? This is a pain. This is a hassle. What are we going to do? But he was like, look at me. This is my prize.
This is me. And the photographs.
Okay, before he gets to the photographs, the Polaroids, I've always thought that they took the girls because they didn't want them to say who they were. Not that they knew them by name, but describe them. What do you think, Maureen?
Well, I think that's the same thing. I think when they got there, it happened. The girls, whether they really were out in the field or they ran and then they caught them, is these girls are going to be able to tell who we are. So we got to do something with them.
Exactly, because they weren't about to leave eyewitnesses behind. And so when Gary says, I don't think they were there planning a murder, well, I, for some reason, think they were. I think it was going to go one way or another. Either Danny gives the money or
we're going to take care of him because he's dragging this out. And that's what they do. I mean, I've found that out just talking to people. That's just what they do.
Do you know how much money Danny Freeman owed these people?
Well, I don't. I was told that. Well, from Ashley said that her parents was trying to get $5,000 together to give a lawyer after Christmas to look and see if she could say if they had a case for wrongful death suit against the Craig County Sheriff Department. Okay, they didn't have a lot of money. I mean, that's why people say, well, how did he get this? If he sold marijuana, it's not like they had a lot. I mean, they had a 40-acre farm. The trailer home, they'd build onto it, but it wasn't a Taj Mahal. The vehicles wasn't brand new, you know? But I think he was out to try to get money because he wanted to prove that the Craig County Sheriff deputies shot and killed his son. You know, it wasn't wrongful death, you know, that it was, you know, it wasn't suicide by cop. that, one of the deputy meant to kill him,
So I remember they wanted $5,000 to hire an attorney.
Yeah.
Which made no sense because a wrongful death suit, it would be civil, and the attorney would be on a contingency, meaning the attorney, whether it be Veneta, Muskogee, Tulsa, would get 40%. So now I wonder if that's what they were there for, is $5,000.
I mean, at this point, I don't know. All I know is the time was getting close to the year. January 9th of 2000 would have been a year. And if they couldn't take it and file paperwork for a wrongful death suit, you have to let it go. So I think at that point they had talked to other lawyers. Lawyers had told them that they didn't have a case. So they had found a lady that says, if you want me to do this in a short amount of time, I want money up front.
And Ashley Freeman knew about this.
Yeah, she knew that her parents was trying to find. I had talked to a lawyer, and they were going to have to come up with money so that they could look and see if they could do a wrongful death suit before the year was up, which was in 10 days, 11 days.
Those were his trophies.
Mm-hmm. Which you've seen a lot as a sex crimes investigator, people taking trophies.
Yeah, trophies or souvenirs. This to him was a trophy. And this came from one of the witnesses that actually saw one of the photographs. And there was a young man at the time that we talked to. He finally came forward. People would not come forward because they were scared of these individuals.
Even years
Even
later.
after they died, they were still scared.
That's hard for me to believe, hard for other people to believe, because they're dead. What are they going to do to you now?
Exactly.
Finally come clean with everything. But it's interesting to be that scared of.
Yes.
So it tells you what they thought of him.
We had to track these people down. They did not come forward. We got information from third persons who said these people may know something, but they never come forward. We had to track all of these people down.
And even then, like pulling teeth.
Exactly. And I told him, I said, look, David Pennington's dead. Phil Welch is dead. Why are you scared? I'm just scared.
Isn't that interesting?
Yes, they were so.
I'm just scared, or I's just scared. However they said it. Why would you be scared if the people you're scared of are dead? There's other people. So
that's just it. I mean, their thing is these are the three. There's other people. And then I tell that to Tammy and I tell that to Gary. You guys are full of crap. There's other people still. Well, who are they? I don't know. But somebody knows something, and there are other people involved.
I love that they ask you as if you're doing their job. So offensive. I mean, and I understand that police ask for any lead, but you're like, no, there's more people involved. I'm saying there's more people involved. He just said, well, they're dead. No one's going to hurt you, but I'm still scared. I's just scared. Okay, so obviously you're looking for other people, Gary.
Because I don't know. It's hard to explain.
It is. Because you would think, it's hard for law-abiding citizens. I don't care how scared you are back in the day. Go to a payphone, drop an anonymous call. Nobody could trace it back to you, but nobody did. And that circle, they were tight-lipped. I mean,
well, if it did, it didn't surface.
Right.
And that's one thing that Tammy and I found out. There was so much that was done that we knew nothing about. There were private investigators that were involved in this case, and they had the suspect name and were looking at these individuals.
Early.
And we never knew about it. It wasn't anyone's fault. There was other agencies involved that did a lot of work. One of the things that we knew, there was a search and picture 3 days after the murders and kidnappings. Wow. We did not, that was a mine shaft. The tip came called in to the girls were in a particular mine shaft. We had to go back and look at newspaper articles and to find out, because there wasn't any reports at that time. And so there was a lot that was done that we didn't know about. For example, the private investigators.
And that kind of made it a little trickier going forward, I'm sure.
Yeah, it did. There was so much that was done that we didn't know about at the time that as we went back in time and looking at this, started talking to the individual. One of the witnesses said, look, I've already talked to you guys about this.
And you're
I
like,
said,
no.
no, not to me. But they talked to the
Somebody
private
else.
investigators. They thought they were law enforcement and stuff. And so they had to regurgitate again what was told. So this actually came out early on, but it just didn't rise to the surface at the time for the investigators. But they were looked at. Kansas authorities looked at these individuals, but it just wasn't enough. There's so many red herrings, so many people who were distracted by looking at the serial killer, other individuals. There were several people, not just confessing to it, but indicated or told other individuals that they were involved in it.
And that just takes that investigation
that
into all these
time.
different offshoots and keeps
Exactly.
you away from the real one.
Yeah.
So you've got this case solved. We know who did it. We pretty much know what happened. One person who is still alive has been in prison, been convicted. Why can't you let it go now? Because it is consuming you, the search for these remains. So why not sit back and go, okay, well, we've solved it. We have answers for the families, bless them. How come you can't let this go, this search?
Because we didn't solve it. From the very beginning, it was searching for the girls. We want the girls found. That was my focus. That was my burden at the very beginning. And that's Tammy's burden also when she inherited the case. And it just became a burden. We want to find the girls. We want to locate the girls. We want to bring them home. It wasn't so much solving the case. We had to solve the case. We had to find out who to determine where. So solving it was, that's nice and big, but
It was a byproduct really for
Right.
you.
right. Bringing the girls home, that's the focus. That's what our goal is, and that's what we want to continue to do until this reaches a point where there's nothing else we know to do. Now, there's information that comes in all the time, but some psychics and different things like that really not very credible, but still we'll follow up on them.
How many psychics have contacted you, Miss Lorraine?
Probably 5 or 6.
Oh, okay. Because they really, really mess things up. And I've kind of always said if I had psychic abilities, I would go find myself. I wouldn't call someone and say, I just have this vision. I would.
But most of the psychic people, they do it and they want notoriety for it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Sandra Brown is a big one. You know, I'm going to do it on my show. I'm going to put it out there, see what happens,
Mm-hmm.
But
Well, Donna Serafina has said some horrible things. Sylvia Brown, she caused that woman to have a heart attack. And, the case of Sean Hornbeck and Amanda Berry. So, if you can't prove it and you have that vision, go look for yourself. But every time a psychic calls it in, like Gary just said, they still have to investigate it.
Yeah, they do.
Every damn time. I guarantee Aggie Willett has their fucking phones burning up as we speak.
And Tammy follows up on them. But as far as finding the girls, like I said, we're still got some good information that we're following up on, and we're just praying that we find them.
That's what really matters the most, isn't it?
The Lord will bring them home.
And that's what matters to their families.
Exactly.
For sure.
The families, the community, people. Everyone wants to find these girls.
This is an Oklahoma case. People all over this state care about those girls and want those girls.
But mainly, we need to find them for the girls.
Yeah. Yep. All right, Gary, thank you.
Yes, we do, but no one more than Lorene and her family. How is your family holding up? You've been through this for 26 years.
Well, we're all of the same mindset. Every day's a new day. Today could be the day that somebody calls or something comes up, or the good Lord says, today's the day we're going to bring the girls home. So
How did your husband react when, I'm just going to say, everything went down on December 29th? And I'm going to ask you this for a specific reason, because there has been a lot of people that they fight amongst each other and they break up because of something totally mind-blowing, horrific, something you couldn't imagine, like what happened to you.
Well, when he's the same way, he wants answers. He's well, I'm the one. I'll go out and I'll go fight and I'll dig up. He doesn't do that. It's not that he doesn't support it. Is he's like, he can't do that where I can't. I can go and think the very worst and how bad are people that do these things and ask the hard questions. He's not like that. But I can.
Exactly. Everybody, I want you to please put some internet prayers in right now for our friend Miss Lorene. Once I get her Facebook page, do you ship?
Do I ship? Yeah.
Okay. And you can order from her store. Please send me the link, Miss Lorene. And this is not going to be the last time you hear about this case. Ever. But I want everyone to say something as I give a round of applause to Miss Lorene. So you get back to work. I know you're about to open your store. Everyone here absolutely loves you.
Well, thank you. Thanks for your time.
And if you happen to get any of those Spanx in that make me look skinnier, just let me know. Okay.
All righty.
All right. Love you, my friend.
Thank you.
I will see you guys over in Discord, one of the Facebook groups. And again, this is not the last time you're going to hear me talking about Ashley and Laura. You guys be safe, stay warm, and I will share that link with a quickness.
All righty. Thank you.